technologies that are driving this entire change in mobility. Electric motors, batteries, optics, and then on top of that, you can apply AI. Now I want to tell the youngsters of this country, people talk about AI. But it's important to understand that AI on its own is absolutely meaningless. Because AI operates on top of data. Without data, AI means nothing. And if we look at data today, there is one thing which is very clear. Every single piece of data that comes out of the production system in the world, the data that was used to make this phone, the data that is used to make electric cars, the data that is used to make basically all electronics on the planet today is owned by China. And the consumption data is owned by the United States. In China, the consumption data is owned by China, but in India, companies like Google, companies like Facebook, companies like Instagram, X, they own our consumption data. So if India wants to talk about AI, it has to first answer the question, what data is going to power that AI? And the answer today is India does not have that data. Neither does India have production data, neither does India have consumption data. We have handed our consumption data to the big American companies, and the production data we don't have anyway. So what would that vision look like? The first thing, we would start getting youngsters excited about this revolution. We would start to introduce the idea of a completely new way of moving, a complete revolution in how things move. We would start teaching our children in schools about batteries, about electric motors, about how these things combine, about how drones, robots, electric cars are structured, how they will work together. And most important, we have to start building a production network so that we can get access to production data. Now, what would we focus on? We would not give you a laundry list. China has at least a 10-year lead on India in this space. China has been working on batteries, robots, motors, optics for the last 10 years, and we are behind. So what would our president's address say to the youngsters? We will choose critical areas in each one of these technologies, and we will start to build capabilities in those areas. The second thing we would do, we would ensure that our banking system is not captured by 2 or 3 companies that basically do not allow you to build a production system. But our banking system is open, is dynamic, and is accessible to small and medium businesses and to millions and millions of entrepreneurs who want to take part in this revolution. Our foreign policy would take into account this revolution. When we talk to the United States, we would not send our foreign minister to invite our prime minister to his coronation. We would not send him 3 or 4 times, please invite our prime minister. Because if we had a production system and if we were working on these technologies, the American president would come here and invite the prime minister. So it is important to understand where
Please. Foreign policy. Leader of opposition cannot make such serious, unsubstantiated statements. This is related to the relation between 2 countries, and he is making an unverified statement about invitation of the Prime Minister of our country. Is matter of our dignity. How can you make such kind of statement? He is leader of opposition, sir. He should be responsible in making such statement.
Sir, LOP is giving us very positive suggestions. Why they are worried, sir? For the country, he is giving.
Leader of opposition has the information from any official source. He must inform the House. If leader of opposition has the information, please inform the House who has told you that foreign ministers visited for the purpose which you have mentioned. You must specify.
Wake up, wrist it, work out, kill it. Wow, the day just clicks.
लीडर ऑपोजिशन को इस तरह का बयानबाजी नहीं करना चाहिए। ये गंभीर विषय पर चर्चा चल रही है।
So we would start by telling our young men and women that they have to be at the forefront of this revolution. We cannot afford that the Chinese are at the forefront of this revolution. Number one. Number two, we will ensure that the absolute best experts on these technologies would talk to our students, would talk to our youngsters and guide them on what a future, on what these future technologies are going to do. We would make them partners in this revolution. Now, we talk about defense. And today, we have the Chinese. And the Prime Minister has denied it. And the army has contradicted the Prime Minister. It's true. The Prime Minister has denied it. The Prime Minister has denied it. And the army has disagreed with the Prime Minister that China is sitting on 4,000 square kilometers of our land, of our territory.
ऐसा इस सदन में अब मन चाहे बात नहीं बोल सकते हैं। ये बिल्कुल ठीक नहीं है सर। ये सीरियस मामला है। आप फॉरेन पॉलिसी पे, बॉर्डर इश्यू पर आप अपना कैसे मजाक बात कर सकते हैं? अपना मनमोहन कहानी आप बना के बोल रहे हैं। ये तो बहुत सीरियस मामला है।
विदेशी प्रतिपक्ष के नेता जो आप विषय बोल रहे हैं, जो विषय आप बोल रहे हैं, उसके तथ्यों को सदन के पटल पे रखना। आप
अनुरोध है लीडर ऑपोजिशन बोलिए, हम लोग शांति से सुनेंगे। ये आपका अधिकार है बोलने का, मगर आप मन चाहे ऐसा सीरियस इशू पे कैसे बोल सकते हैं? सीरियस मामला है। आप सदन में मर्जी से बोलते हो, फॉरेन मिनिस्टर का बात करते हो, सीमा का बात ऑफिसर वर्जन से अलग बात करते हैं। ऐसा मत बोलिए, ये देश के लिए ठीक नहीं है। आपको सीरियस होना पड़ेगा लीडर ऑफ ऑपोजिशन। ये गंभीर मामले को आप ऐसा
The Prime Minister has denied that Chinese forces are inside our territory, but for some reason our army keeps talking to the Chinese about their entry into our territory, and our Chief of Army Staff has said that the Chinese are inside our territory. This is a fact. This is not invention, this is a fact. Now, but the reason China is inside our territory is important. Because people think that wars are fought between armies and their weapons. But the fact of the matter is that wars are fought by industrial systems. The fact of the matter is that China has an industrial system that is far stronger, far bigger than our industrial system. And that is why they have the guts to come inside this country. The reason China is sitting inside this country is because Make in India has failed. The reason China is sitting inside this country is because India is refusing to produce. And I am worried that India is going to give up this revolution to the Chinese once again. The reason I made this reference is because everything is connected. If and when we fight a war with China, we will be fighting with Chinese electric motors, Chinese batteries, Chinese optics, and we will be buying Chinese motors, Chinese optics, Chinese batteries. It is a non-sustainable proposition. That is why for our security, for the future of our children, for the future of our country, we have to build a production system, and we cannot allow this revolution to go by. Now, the next step, we have a strategic partner called the United States. The partnership should focus on how India and the United States can work together to take advantage of this revolution. That is what the conversation should be on. Please understand that India is as important as the United States for the simple reason that they cannot build an industrial system without us. They cannot build a production system without us. No matter what they say, the Americans simply cannot do what India can do because their cost structure is much, much, much more expensive than ours. We can build things that the Americans would never imagine. India can do that. So that would be the first part of a president's address. We would talk to the youngsters in India and say to them, we want you to be partners in this revolution. We want to change the Indian banking system so you can have access to it. And we believe in you, we trust in you, and we believe you can take on the Chinese. That's the first part. The second part would be about participation. We have done a caste census in Telangana. And what we have found is shocking. Almost 90% of Telangana is either Dalit, Adivasi, backward, or minority. Almost 90%. And I am convinced that that is the story across the country. I am absolutely convinced that the OBC population of this country is not one less than 50%, possibly 55%. 16% are Dalits, 9% are Adivasis, 15% are minorities. Last budget, there was a photograph. You remember the photograph? Of course. वो मक्खन बांटने वाली, हलवा बांटने वाली फोटो. मैं हैरान हो गया कि इस बार फोटो ही हटा दी. हलवा खिलाया मगर दिखाया नहीं किसको खिला रहे. प्लीज. So at the center of any new development paradigm for this country, which runs parallel with the production paradigm I spoke of, which works together with the production paradigm I spoke of, is the participation of lower castes, OBCs, Dalits, Adivasis in the wealth of this country. If we look at the largest corporates in this country, they're all owned. None of them are owned by OBCs. None of them are owned by Dalits. None of them are owned by tribals. If we look at the biggest media companies that support the Prime Minister, every day we see the Prime Minister's pleasant face, smiling face on these media. None of them are owned by OBCs. None of them are owned by Dalits. None of them are owned by Adivasis. This is the fact. So central to any new development paradigm is the architecture of a new paradigm. And that architecture of the new paradigm can only be built once the caste census is placed on this day. Because once the caste census is placed on the table, we will know exactly how much of this country's wealth, how much of this country's power, how many of these country's institutions are owned by 90% of this country. There are OBC MPs in the BJP. There are OBC MPs in the BJP. There are Dalit MPs in the BJP. There are Adivasi MPs in the BJP. Remember, you are OBCs, you have 50% of the population, and you have absolutely no power. I know that you're sitting there and you cannot even open your mouth. That is the truth of the country.
प्रधानमंत्री का चेहरा आपको दिखाई नहीं देता है?
जाति जनगणना,
प्रधानमंत्री का चेहरा आपको दिखाई नहीं देता है?
आर्किटेक्चर,
अंधे हो गए क्या?
participation, revolution in this country that we are going to bring.
ये अंधेरा हो गया है
पार्लियामेंट में है।
ये कुछ दिखता नहीं है।
सोनिया गांधी, प्रियंका,
ये लीडर अपोजिशन को कुछ दिखाई नहीं देता है। ओबीसी बात करते हैं।
So the idea is, Speaker sir, the idea. Speaker sir, so the idea is, on one side, allow India and the Indian youngsters to participate in the coming mobility revolution. Allow them to participate in building robots, in building drones, in building electronic items, in building EVs. And on the other side, running parallel.
मैंने उनको ही मना
The country, Speaker sir.
ऐसा नहीं है। आप भी बहुत डिस्टर्बेंस करते हैं।
Okay, Speaker sir. So parallel ideas. One idea: participate in the mobility revolution. Whether you're thinking of economy, weapons, production, healthcare, India should participate in this revolution. India should become the master of the electric motor, master of the battery, master of optics, and master of AI applied on top of that production system. Now imagine the power of AI when we apply it to the caste census. You imagine what we will do with AI and what we will do with the social revolution in this country when we start to apply AI on the data that we get from the caste census. So we are going to run a parallel track. On one side, participation, revolutionizing the participation of Dalits, OBCs, Adivasis in the ruling of this country, in the institutions of this country, in distribution of wealth of this country. And on the other side, parallel track, challenge the Chinese and participate in the revolution and defeat the Chinese in electric motors, batteries, solar panels and wind. So that is the first two parts of any presidential election address that any India Gathbandhan leader would give you. The final, of course, we go back to the Constitution. This, our favorite, just like the production system is a weapon, just like Jati Jangarna is a weapon of transformation, this is what the entire architecture is built on. I remember before the elections, all of you were saying 400 par, and you were saying you would change this. And then I was glad to see that the Prime Minister walked in and then was forced to bow his head in front of the Constitution. It was a moment of pride for all Congress people that we had explained to the Prime Minister and to the whole country that no force will dare touch this. I know that the RSS has never accepted this. Mohan Bhagwatji has said that India didn't get independence in 1947. He has said that this constitution is meaningless. I know that that is at your heart. We will never let your dream come true. This constitution is going to rule India always. Now,
एक मिनट आप प्रतिपक्ष के नेता हैं, मेरा आपसे आग्रह है कि जो विषय आप रखें वह तथ्यों पर आधार पर रखें, उचित होगा। मैंने आपको पहले भी कहा, और जो सदन के सदस्य नहीं है उनकी चर्चा न करें।
बताता हूं सर, मोहन भागवत
आप नियम प्रक्रियाओं की पालन करें, आपसे अपेक्षा।
सर, मोहन भागवत जी ने स्टेटमेंट दिया।
मोहन भागवत का स्टेटमेंट
सर, one second.
We will authenticate.
Speaker, sir.
We will authenticate.
Speaker, sir, Mohan Bhagwat ji made a statement saying that India did not receive independence in 1947. It received independence when the Ram Mandir was inaugurated. We will place that on the table. Now, sir, I would like to mention one small thing, but very important thing. Speaker, sir, this constitution is supported by the vote which the India Alliance won, and the Vidhan Sabha election. The voting population of Himachal Pradesh was added to the voting roll of Maharashtra. Meaning the entire population of Himachal Pradesh was added to the voter rolls of Maharashtra. Please understand what I am saying. In Lok Sabha, the difference between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha was the population of Himachal. The entire population. Almost 70 lakh new voters suddenly arrived between Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Now, the most interesting part, and the Prime Minister is not looking at me. The most interesting part, मुंह नीचे कर लिया suddenly. The most interesting part is Sir, Maharashtra में more voters were added in 5 months in Maharashtra than were added in 5 years in Maharashtra. जितने 5 साल में ऐड हुए उससे ज्यादा 5 महीने में ऐड हुए, आखिरी 5 महीने में लोकसभा चुनाव के बाद। सर, एक बिल्डिंग है सर शिरडी में, एक बिल्डिंग में 7,000 नए वोटर एक बिल्डिंग में ऐड हुए सर। एक बिल्डिंग में 7,000 नए वोटर ऐड हुए सर। सर, मैं कोई आरोप नहीं लगा रहा हूं, मैं सिर्फ ये कह रहा हूं सर कि इसमें कुछ ना कुछ प्रॉब्लमैटिक है कि हिमाचल प्रदेश जितने बड़े वोटर्स लोकसभा के बाद जादू से आ जाते हैं। अब हम क्या कह रहे हैं, हमने इलेक्शन कमीशन से रिपीटेडली कहा है कि हम आरोप नहीं लगा रहे हैं, आप एक काम कीजिए, हमें लोकसभा की वोटर लिस्ट दे दीजिए, नेम एड्रेस और इलेक्ट्रॉनिकली दीजिए, और विधानसभा नहीं है। नहीं सर, नहीं। स्पीकर सर,
वो सब वेबसाइट पे रहती है, सब जानते हैं, कभी भी कोई निकाल सकता है।
स्पीकर सर, मैं समझा देता हूं सर। स्पीकर सर, वो Speaker sir, we have asked. Speaker sir. Speaker sir, we are asking this question. We are asking this. Speaker sir, population of Himachal Pradesh. Please. Population of Himachal Pradesh has voted. Extra has voted in Maharashtra. We are saying to the Election Commission, please give us the names and addresses and polling booths of all the workers in the Lok Sabha and all the workers in the Vidhan Sabha, so we can calculate who these new workers are, who these new voters are. Interestingly, the new voters are mostly in the constituencies that the BJP has swept. Please understand, the new voters have been added mostly in the constituencies where BJP has swept. I am still not making an allegation. I am saying on the floor of the House that the Election Commission has to give the data of the Maharashtra elections to the Congress Party, to the Shiv Sena and to the NCP, so that we can see exactly where these voters have been added, who has been subtracted, who has been added, where they have been added. This is not an irresponsible request. This is a very simple request for them to fulfill. The reason I am saying this, sir, is because the rules have been changed. This is not just said in isolation. Speaker, sir, the election commissioner used to be chosen by the Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition and the Chief Justice. Sir, the Chief Justice was removed from that committee.
Why?
This is the question, sir. This is the question to the Prime Minister. Why was the Chief Justice removed from the committee? Now, in a few days, I am going to go to the meeting. I am going to go to the meeting. There's going to be Mr. Amit Shah and Mr. Modi ji. And there's going to be me. 2 to 1. Why am I even going to the meeting? What is the purpose of me going to the meeting? I am only going to the meeting to certify what Modi ji and Amit Shah ji are going to say. Right? Whereas if the Chief Justice was there, there could be a discussion. Chief Justice and Leader of Opposition could say, no, we don't agree. So, there seems to be a calculated strategy. Now, just prior to the Lok Sabha, the election commissioner was changed and 2 new election commissioners were placed.
Yes.
We know that the election dates were changed.
Yes.
We know that the elections were postponed. These are facts. These are not things I am inventing. So, in order to safeguard this constitution, the entire opposition requests the data for the Maharashtra election. We request the data and the electoral voter list for Lok Sabha and the corresponding list for Vidhan Sabha. And I am very confident that the Election Commission will not give us this information. Speaker, sir, that is broadly. So the third element of our President's address would be a determined defense of India's institutions, of our democratic system, and a re-look at our entire democratic framework, and the looking again at all the institutions that have been taken away from the people of India. So those would be the type of things that we would say in a presidential address. I'd like to finally say one thing. In the last, थोड़ा बढ़ा देता हूँ. अब मैं थोड़ा और खींचूंगा. अब और खींचूंगा थोड़ा. अब और खींचूंगा. So.
And now, our performer of the year, who will be promoted to Vice President, Gautam Anand.
Not now, sir. अभी क्या? रहने देते हैं. Not now.
बेवकूफी है ना. खुद के हेल्थ की टेस्टिंग को नॉट नाउ बोलना भी उतनी ही बेवकूफी है. तो नॉट नाउ भूल जाओ और टाटा 1mg लैब्स को बोलो यस नाउ.
I showed you the picture of Shivji, which you didn't allow me to show. I showed that picture for a reason. What does that picture tell us? If you look at that picture carefully, it tells us focus carefully. Do not get distracted. Do not look here and there. Do the job at hand. So there is a philosophical basis to the speech I have given. I have not told the House and the country that we will do this, and this. This is the philosophy of Shivji. Say what you have to say, but be clear that you're going to do that one thing and don't do 50, 60, 70 different things. So there is a link between our philosophical tradition, our religious tradition, and what I'm saying. And that is what India needs to do. India needs to connect the past, the values of the past. You talk about Sardar Patel ji, but you destroy Sardar Patel ji's values every day. You talk about Ambedkar ji, you destroy his values every day. You talk about Nehru ji, no, you don't talk about Nehru ji. Right? You bow in front of Buddha. You destroy what he says. So the point is, you have to be truthful to what you are. Right? And it is important that when you are giving a way forward to the nation, there is clarity. There is clarity of purpose. There is no hatred. There is no violence. There is no anger. Because these things are destroying our country. So my speech has not been angry, has not been nasty. My speech has been very polite, very kind, and I thank the Prime Minister for coming and listening to it.
माननीय श्री नरेश चंद पटेल
माननीय सभापति महोदय, अध्यक्ष जी, जाने वाले कोई नहीं रोक पाएगा।
आप तो अपना भाषण दें।
महोदय, सबसे पहले मैं आपका धन्यवाद करना चाहता हूं कि आपने महामहिम राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण के धन्यवाद। मानवर, इस सदन में बोलते हुए सबसे पहले मैं महाकुंभ में हुई दुखद घटना को स्मरण करना चाहता हूं। उन सभी श्रद्धालुओं और भक्तों को मेरी भावपूर्ण श्रद्धांजलि। मानवर, जिन्होंने आस्था और भक्ति के साथ पवित्र स्नान करने का संकल्प लिया था, लेकिन दुर्भाग्यवश प्रशासनिक कुप्रबंधन और लापरवाही के चलते वो
काल के गाल में समा गए। मानवर, ये कोई प्राकृतिक आपदा नहीं थी, बल्कि सरकार की नाकामी का ये एक जीता जागता उदाहरण था। महाकुंभ, जिसे दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा आध्यात्मिक आयोजन माना जाता है, जो लाखों करोड़ों श्रद्धालुओं की आस्था और विश्वास का केंद्र है, ये केवल एक धार्मिक आयोजन नहीं था, बल्कि भारत की सांस्कृतिक और आध्यात्मिक धरोहर का प्रतीक है। परंतु जिस प्रकार की अव्यवस्था इस बार रही, वो न केवल दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है, बल्कि सरकार की संवेदनशीलहीनता और प्रशासनिक कुप्रबंधन को उजागर करती है। मानवर, क्या यह सरकार को पता नहीं था कि इतने विशाल आयोजन में भारी संख्या में श्रद्धालु आएंगे? क्या योजनाएं केवल कागज में बनती हैं, जो जमीनी स्तर पर कुछ नहीं है? मानवर, इस महाकुंभ में बड़ी बड़ी बातें की गई कि हम इस तरीके का प्रबंधन कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आज तक सरकार ने महाकुंभ में मरने वालों की सूची जारी नहीं की। हमारे नेता माननीय अखिलेश यादव जी ने सदन में पहले दिन कहा था कि महाकुंभ पर चर्चा हो। ये दुनिया का बड़ा मेला, इस मेले में इतनी बड़ी अव्यवस्था, डबल इंजन की सरकार, और डबल इंजन की सरकार में जिस तरीके का जनता के साथ मजाक हुआ, ये घोर निंदनीय है। मानवर, इस सरकार में असफलताओं की बहुत लंबी सूची है। मानवर, शिक्षा जो किसी राष्ट्र की बुनियाद होती है, आज भ्रष्टाचार की गर्त में जा चुकी है। हर प्रतियोगी परीक्षा में मानवर मजाक बनकर रह गई है। मानवर, बिहार से लेकर उत्तर प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, गुजरात में जगह जगह पेपर लीक हो रहे हैं। सरकार ने एनटीए, नेशनल टेस्टिंग एजेंसी का गठन बड़े बड़े वादों के साथ होते कहा गया। मानवर, ये संस्था निष्पक्षता, पारदर्शिता की नई मिसाल कायम करेगी, लेकिन आज ये हालत है कि परीक्षा प्रारंभ होने से पहले ही सोशल मीडिया में पेपर लीक हो जाते हैं। क्या यही सरकार की पारदर्शिता है? क्या यही डिजिटल इंडिया का सच है? नीट की परीक्षा, जो लाखों छात्रों के मेडिकल के करियर को भविष्य तय करती है, उसके बार बार पेपर लीक की घटनाएं होती हैं। मानवल, रेलवे भर्ती, एसएससी की परीक्षा, यूजीसी, नेट, कोई भी परीक्षा इस सरकार की अक्षमता से बच नहीं पाई है। एनटीए को स्थापित करने पर सरकार ने जो बड़े बड़े दावे किए थे, वो मानवर खोखले निकले। मानवर, महामहिम राष्ट्रपति के अभिभाषण में किसानों की फसलों के मूल्य के एमएसपी की गारंटी का कोई जिक्र नहीं है। लगातार देश के किसान, करोड़ों किसान इस बात की आशा लगाए बैठे हैं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने चुनाव के समय जो कहा था कि हम एमएसपी की गारंटी देंगे, स्वामीनाथन आयोग की रिपोर्ट लागू करेंगे, हम किसानों को लाभकारी मूल्य देंगे, लेकिन आज हमारे देश का किसान दर दर की ठोकरें खा रहा है। आज पूरे देश के अंदर किसानों में जिस तरीके की निराशा है, वो लोकतंत्र के लिए बहुत ही शर्मनाक घटना है। मानवर, भारतीय जनता पार्टी के बड़े बड़े नेता जो इस देश को और प्रदेश को चलाते हैं, जब चुनाव में जाते हैं, चुनाव में कहते हैं हम किसानों को लाभकारी मूल्य देंगे, हम किसानों को मालो माल कर देंगे, लेकिन आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने आय दुगुना करने की बात भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने किया था। आज ये देश किसानों का देश, जिस देश के किसानों के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी जिस तरीके का दोहरा मापदंड अपनाए है, उससे हमारे लोकतंत्र को बहुत आघात पहुंचा है। मानवर, आज हम उत्तर प्रदेश के फतेहपुर जिले से लोकसभा के सदस्य चुनकर आए हैं। हमारे नेता अखिलेश यादव जी ने अपने जमाने में किसानों को खाद, बीज, कीटनाशक दवाओं का लगातार प्रबंध किया था, लेकिन आज उत्तर प्रदेश में अभी बुआई के समय खाद की जितनी बड़ी किल्लत हुई, डीएपी मिली नहीं, यूरिया ब्लैक में मिल रही है, किसानों को पानी नहीं मिला, लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने इस पर कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया। डबल इंजन की सरकार, डबल असत्य भाषण पर विश्वास करती है। आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी लगातार जिस तरीके का काम किसानों के साथ कर रही है, मानवर हम किसान के बेटे हैं, हमारे यहाँ आज किसानों के साथ डबल दुख हो रहा है। मानवर हमारे जिले में, हमारे प्रदेश में छुट्टा जानवरों से किसानों की फसलें बर्बाद हो जाती है, लेकिन वो हमारे किसानों की फसलों को फसल बीमा के अंतर्गत उनको कोई लाभ नहीं मिलता है। मानवर इसका जिक्र इस हमारे जो महामहिम राष्ट्रपति का भाषण है, इस पर इसका कोई भी जिक्र नहीं है। मानवर किसान बीमा की दुर्घटना की शुरुआत समाजवादी पार्टी के समय में हमारी पार्टी के संस्थापक स्वर्गीय मुलायम सिंह यादव जी ने किया था। पहले किसानों को कोई भी दुर्घटना का बीमा का लाभ नहीं मिलता था, लेकिन माननीय मुलायम सिंह यादव जी ने किसानों को बीमा दुर्घटना के नाम पर 1 लाख की थी, जिसे बढ़ाकर समाजवादी पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष माननीय श्री अखिलेश यादव 5 लाख रुपया कर दिया था। समय बीतता जा रहा है, महंगाई बढ़ती जा रही है, लेकिन किसान बीमा दुर्घटना पर आज वो 5 लाख की राशि लगातार वही बनी हुई है। हमारी मांग है कि किसान बीमा दुर्घटना की राशि को कम से कम 15 लाख रुपया करना चाहिए। मानवर भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने कहा था कि हम मुफ्त सिंचाई देंगे, किसानों को हम मुफ्त सिंचाई देंगे, लेकिन आज उत्तर प्रदेश में मुफ्त सिंचाई नहीं है। बिजली महंगी हो गई, डीजल का दाम बढ़ गया, खाद का दाम बढ़ गया, लेकिन किसान परेशान है। आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने मुफ्त सिंचाई की बात करके किसानों के साथ बहुत बड़ा मजाक किया है। मानवर समाजवादी पार्टी के नेता ने अखिलेश यादव जी ने उत्तर प्रदेश के किसानों को सरकारी नलकूपों का पानी और नहरों का पानी फ्री किया था, और उसी समय के बाद भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने चुनाव के समय कहा था कि हम किसानों को निजी नलकूपों का भी बिजली का बिल माफ करेंगे। आज उत्तर प्रदेश कृषि प्रधान प्रदेश है, लेकिन किसानों को बिजली फ्री नहीं मिल रही है और उनके ऊपर बिजली का भार दुगुना किया जा रहा है, और निजी नलकूप धारक के ऊपर बिल लगाया जा रहा है। जो किसान ट्यूबवेल उनके वो फेल हो चुके हैं, उनके ऊपर भी बिजली के बिल लगाए जा रहे हैं। मानवर उत्तर प्रदेश किसानों का प्रदेश है। आज अभी फसल आई, धान की फसल, जिसका जिक्र इस अभिभाषण में नहीं है। मानवर धान की फसल में धान के किसान परेशान हैं, उनका धान लागत मूल्य से भी कम में लिया जा रहा है और किसान आत्महत्या करने पर मजबूर है। मानवर आज प्रदेश के अंदर जिस तरीके से किसानों में निराशा है, इसका जिक्र इस महामहिम के अभिभाषण पर नहीं है। मानवर आज हमारे मनरेगा के मजदूर सबसे ज्यादा परेशान है। मनरेगा की मजदूरी उनको समय से मिलती नहीं है और न उनकी आज तक मजदूरी बढ़ाई गई है। मानवर आज महंगाई लगातार बढ़ती जा रही, महंगाई के रोकने के बारे में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार का कोई ध्यान नहीं है। आज हर चीज महंगी है, उपभोक्ता और उत्पादक के बीच में असंतुलन है। लगातार उपभोक्ता और उत्पादक के बीच में असंतुलन की वजह से जो किसान है, जो कमाता है, और वो आदमी सबसे ज्यादा परेशान है, और जिस आदमी को उनकी फसल खरीदनी पड़ती है वो भी परेशान है। उपभोक्ता और उत्पादक के बीच में असंतुलन की वजह से आज चारों तरफ हाहाकार मचा हुआ है। हम लोग दिल्ली में देखते हैं मानवर, आज किसान अपनी फसल का लागत मूल्य नहीं पा रहा, लेकिन आज खाने वाले को वही महंगा मिलता है। यही भारतीय जनता पार्टी का दोहरा चरित्र है। मैं मानवर आपके माध्यम से सरकार से कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारे देश में रुपए की वैल्यू, हमारे देश में मुद्रा की वैल्यू लगातार घटती जा रही है। हमारा रुपया बहुत ही कमजोर है। इसकी मजबूती के लिए भी इस महामहिम के भाषण में इसका कोई भी जिक्र नहीं है। और लगातार हमारे देश में विदेशी कर्ज मानवर बढ़ रहा है, विदेशी कर्ज बढ़ रहा है। विदेशी कर्ज कैसे कम हो, इसका भी इस महामहिम के भाषण में इसका भी कोई जिक्र नहीं है। किसानों को आज दर दर की ठोकरें खाना न पड़े, इसलिए मानवर मैं कहना चाहता हूँ, आज हमारे किसान जो पिछड़े हैं, दलित हैं, अल्पसंख्यक हैं, आदिवासी हैं, उनका रिजर्वेशन भी मानवर आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने पूरा का पूरा चौपट कर दिया है। जो किसानों के बच्चे हैं वो पिछड़े वर्ग से, दलित समाज से, अल्पसंख्यक समाज से आते हैं, लेकिन भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने संविधान में प्रदत्त जो आरक्षण है उसको भी आरक्षण खत्म करने का पार्टी लगातार महिलाओं के साथ भी अन्याय करती जा रही है और मानवर नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम लागू करने की बात कहा।
मैडम प्लीज,
भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं के भाषण सुने कि हमने महिलाओं के सम्मान में लोकसभा और राज्यसभा में उनको 33% आरक्षण दिया था, लेकिन मानवर ये कब लागू होगा नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम, इसकी भी मैं मांग करता हूँ। मानवर राज्यपाल महामहिम
डॉक्टर दास्तीगार,
भाषण में मुझे
डॉक्टर दास्तीगार
मौका दिया, मैं आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करता हूँ।
Thank you, Chairperson, sir. I stand here on behalf of All India Trinamool Congress and my leader, Srimati Mamata Banerjee, to take part in the motion of thanks of the speech addressed to both the houses by Mahamahim Rashtrapati Ji, Srimati Draupadi Murmu. I also express my greetings. Today is Vasant Panchami to all members here and to all the citizens. And I wish there was a holiday for us. Itminan se puja karte. Lekin wo nahi hua. I am a very religious person, a devout Hindu. But I believe and respect all religions. And that is why, like me, there were millions of Indians who were preparing for the Mahakumbh Mela that was supposed to take place after 144 years. Some of the poor people were saving money to go and take the Mahasnan on the Mauni Amavasya. Sad to say, Mahamahim Rashtrapati Ji in her message spent only 61 words to express her sorrow and has not condemned the death, has not given condolence message to the families of the dead. We are very sorry for it because she's totally neglected the dead people, and there is definitely a discrepancy between the number of dead bodies in the morgues as said by the doctors and the number of dead bodies or people missing that we see. The same thing had happened in the state in the COVID times. So this state, how much ever advertisement they did, but while preparedness is concerned, where disaster management is concerned, they have failed. They are giving zero because they should not be given this kind of responsibility where they play with the lives of the common man like this. Now, after we go on to her speech where she mentions about the middle class, you know, as per as the National Council of Applied Economic Research says, 30% of the total population of India belong to the middle class. And we had the budget on the next day in which a lot of promises were made. Who is the middle class? People who earn between 2 and 10 lakhs of rupees per year supposed to be the middle class. But what about the inflation? What about the food inflation? And what about the support to the farmers? What about waiving of the loans for the farmers? Nothing is mentioned in the speech of Mahamahim Rashtrapati Ji. I'm sorry to say, the multinationals and the billionaires' loans have been waived off by the banks, but not that of the farmers. This is absolutely unwarranted in a country where we depend on the farmers for our food. The people, we live in the cities, we don't grow our food, the farmers do, they toil in and out, and they were sitting at the Singhu water. In the border they were tortured, but they were not given the waivers. I would also like to draw the attention of the Honorable Rashtrapati Ji's speech, where she talks about the teaching. She says that the colleges are being increased, the number of universities are being increased, but isn't it an irony that there are no teachers? The number of teachers are not being increased, and the amount is absolutely ridiculous. What is being taught in certain states, I don't want to name those states, because there also, as in the Mahakumbh, there is failure. In the same state, teaching is such a failure. The teachers don't know how to add 9 plus 13. Where to talk about the students. Mahamahim Rashtrapati Ji, she talks about the medicines, where she says that some drugs have been made customs duty free. That is definitely welcome. But there are many, many other drugs which need this kind of custom duty, and also there are certain equipments, because only medicines don't help patients. The equipments that are being used for the patients in the different hospitals of the country, some are charged 300% customs duty, but nothing is happening. I would just like to draw the attention of Mahamahim Rashtrapati ji. Manasa jivana nuhai kevala barsa masa dina danda. Karme je nara, karme ekatara. Jivana manadanda. It should be realized that the work we do, the work for people that we do, this is more important than the statistics we give. The Awas Yojana here, housing for all, it is said, a huge number is being promised for 3 crore families, budget of 5,30,000 crores. But I would like to draw attention of this august house and also Mahamahim Rashtrapati ji. More than 11 lakh families in West Bengal are suffering, spending their nights under the open sky since 2022, when these families received sanction after we applied, and multiple number, more than 60 teams went from the central government and they checked all data, and action taken report was also sent from the state of West Bengal for this money to go, the central government's part of the money for these more than 11 lakh families. It appears there is some kind of a economic blockade or some kind of an economic betrayal for West Bengal from the central government. This has not been mentioned here. This is for the Awas Yojana. We are requesting again these people, the common man, the poor person who is spending with his family under the open sky. He has done no mistake. He is not a political person. Why take the spite on him? Because people of Bengal have never voted for the Bharatiya Janata Party, and they have always defeated. So this is not the right thing to do. The multi-fold increase in the number of seats of education in medical colleges, she has said that it is increased. Well, it is definitely increased, but sometimes the college fees are exorbitant. She is saying there is a new middle class which is coming up. There is no middle class at all. Because of the inflation, the middle class is shrinking. The middle class cannot afford to pay the bills. The middle class cannot afford to buy the fuel. The middle class cannot afford to buy food. There is food inflation in the country, and the government has done nothing to take care of the middle class. And Mamata Banerjee, my leader, she has been taking care of the people by giving them free food, free education, free clothes. The whole country should follow her example. Like they should follow her example. When the bill was passed, you beat a lot of drums when you say that the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam was passed. Yes, it was passed in this August House, but when the election came, then we didn't see so many ladies coming from the Bharatiya Janata Party, neither during nomination nor being present in the House. The only political party in the country who is fielded and have more than 33% is All India Trinamool Congress, due to Mamata Banerjee. She respects women. She's brought them here, not only here, in the local bodies, in each step of administration. She's giving respect to the women, and she is bringing them to the main fold. Mamata Banerjee in the state, though, you might say, somebody might stand up from there and say that you can't take her name. She is not a member of the House. She is the Chief Minister of West Bengal. She is taking care of the poor. She is taking care of the Dalits. She is taking care of the women. She is taking care of the children. But look at the state of affairs here, where the Adivasis are neglected, all the other poor people are neglected. The Awas Yojana House has not reached the sanction given in 2022. But till now, 2025, the poor people have not received. They also say, in the speech, she lauds the daughters of the country who bring us medals. That is appreciable. But let me tell you, these golden girls, हमारा सर ताज है, ये हमारा नाज है इस पर. लेकिन the honorable MP sitting here molested them, he was not punished. It is so shameful that his son has come back here. So, does it show that the women are respected, that the golden girls are respected, that the sportswomen are respected by this government? So the speech is absolutely wrongly written. I would request when the speech is written, then they should consider what they are writing from Mahamahim Rashtrapati ji, because it is coming out from the highest office. People are listening to her. They shouldn't feed her with wrong information, which goes against the ethos of our constitution. Just now LOP was speaking about the constitution of India. At every step the constitution is not respected. We must keep in mind that our constitution forms the backbone, and our country became independent in 1947 and not last year in 2024. Any person can have their own religious belief. We all, like I said, are devout. I am a devout Hindu, but I respect all religions and we celebrate all festivities. Like my leader Mamata Banerjee says, Dharmo jar jar, Utshab shobar. Everybody can take part. So, when they did this, they should not have spoken like that. That is disrespecting the constitution. You should not be doing it. You know, in our country, Global Hunger Index puts it as 105 out of 127 countries at 27.3. That is the index, 27.3. And about the child wasting, it is highest in the world, in the country. The children of different states are not getting enough to eat. During 2014 election, lots of jobs, they were promised. But where are the jobs now? 46% unemployment is there in the country. Out of the total population, 28% of the population is between the ages of 15 and 29 looking for jobs. And you will be astonished, sir, that more the education, more the joblessness. A graduate is more akin to get jobless than an unskilled labor. A person who is passing graduation, post-graduation, PhD level are applying for, when the advertisement is coming for menial labor, unskilled labor, they are applying there because there is no, like the LOP was saying, that there is no projection for production, for having more production, unless we have, you know, there is this company, there is this public sector company of telephone where 48,000 people lost their jobs. Was it done just to let one private company's telephone communication thrive? Those people, those 48,000 people who lost their jobs, they were working in private sector, but the government did not take care of them. The foreign direct investment has entered into insurance where people keep their money, their hard-earned money, to get it at the end of the day, or when he is not there, his family gets it. If you have FDI coming into that, if you have FDI coming into seeds, when the seeds bill was passed, the farmers protested. Nobody listened to them. Is this a democracy where nobody listens to the common people and you just go on passing bills which are like we protested when the common NET was done, you know, the National Eligibility Entrance Test, we requested let it happen in regional languages throughout the country because students are used to study in their mother tongue. And when they are applying for it in class 11 and 12 standard, let them sit and write that in their own language. But the government didn't listen. They had a common test for which many poor students cannot apply for the NET. So this also should be undone and they should be allowed to sit in their own mother tongue, the exam. There is also this ONDC initiative which is giving rise to digital commerce. Well, it is appreciable. But do you know how many lakhs of crores of rupees has been lost by people? Either the message comes on the WhatsApp or the message comes in email or there is a phone call saying your electric bill is due. You either pay just now by pressing 0 and as soon as you press 0, all your bank account lays khali. The lakhs of crores has been lost by people through this cyber crime. And who are these people operating this nexus, this cyber crime? It is sometimes from outside the country also. And I am to understand from very reliable sources, I don't want to quote because we are not supposed to discuss committee things outside. We have about 500 students of IIT, different IITs, engineers, trying to find out who is operating this from where, from which part of the country, which part of the world. We know some places, I don't want to again also say this here, but they are operating like this and they are siphoning off money from people's bank accounts. This cyber crime is taking such, some people, a video call comes, somebody puts on the phone to talk, that picture is taken and superimposed and then he is blackmailed. So these things are happening. The cyber crime is destroying the peace of the country, the sanctity of the ladies of the country. What is the government doing for that? So they were not prepared before they started the online transaction. Without learning how to swim, they jumped into the pool, and that is why people are getting this kind of messages. So we would request that the government should take up cybercrime very seriously and look at it so that the people do not lose their hard-earned money. So we would like also to request that about the eastern side, there are 8 states. Not one word was used to talk about Manipur. For one whole year, Manipur is burning. More than that, houses have burned. In Manipur, ladies have been raped, the gang raped, children have been born in the camps, and none of our honorable ministers, not our honorable Prime Minister had the time. He has time to visit the election states, but no time to go to Manipur, where our party, our honorable Chief Minister Srimati Mamata Banerjee sent a team of us. We went and saw how babies are born. How babies are born in the makeshift relief camps. There is no baby food. More than 6,000 houses have been burned. There's an ethnic war going on. And there was not a single word about how many square kilometers of India is occupied by foreigners. I don't want to name, but foreign power is occupying parts of Arunachal, parts of Aksai Chin, parts of Leh Ladakh. So why we should neglect that my motherland be occupied by foreigners and bow down to them? Don't we have the courage to stand up and protect my motherland? Thank you, sir.
Srimati Kani Moji.
Thank you, sir. I rise to speak on the motion of thanks to the President's address on behalf of my party, the DMK. First, I would like to express my grief and empathy to the families of the people who died in the stampede at the Kumbh Mela. These people trusted the union government and the state government and gathered there, hoping that you will protect them. But unfortunately, no one protected them. When religion and politics merge, it is the innocent people who suffer, and this is an example of that. And sadly, I don't know whether we're waiting for the elections. We don't even know the numbers of the people who've died in the stampede. Isn't this not inhuman? And you don't even want to allow a discussion in Parliament. Sir, the President of India ended her speech saying our Bharat is a country of 140 crore people and we have diverse states, diverse regions and diverse languages. I'm happy that the President of India still believes in the diverseness of this great nation. India is a country with almost 8 major religions, more than 100 ethnic groups, 700 tribes and 121 languages. As a nation, we have always celebrated this diversity and our unity is deeply rooted in this diversity. But the government today has chosen the politics of forced cultural assimilation and cultural elimination. The President started her speech mentioning the 75th anniversary of adoption of our Constitution. She expressed great pride in the achievements during Amrit Kal. And also, in her speech in this very house, she mentioned that we recently celebrated our 75th anniversary of Indian Republic. But none of us in this house can forget that just 2 years ago, in this very same house, in the first session, a Muslim member of parliament faced derogatory communal remarks by a colleague from the ruling party on the very first session. It was a dark day, a day of dark, abysmal despair to our nation. They have divided society into us and them. And I must remind this august house that it will take ages to repair this divide. Just look around. We will find a decreasing number of Muslim members in parliament, a decreasing number of officials, bureaucrats from the SC, ST, OBC and minority communities. The President glorified India's civilizational nationalism, a phrase increasingly used to justify a monolithic culture. India is a living, breathing entity that has been enriched by centuries of interactions from across the world, creating a vibrant cultural tapestry. When you talk about Indian history, you started 3,500 years ago with the Vedic age. But today, we know that the Iron Age in India has been traced back to 5,345 years ago. Our Chief Minister, M.K. Stalin, has proudly proclaimed to the world and based on scientific evidence validated by international labs like Beta Analytics in Florida, that Shivakalai, a small, sleepy village in Thoothukudi district, today holds within it the proof of iron smelting and usage. This is the oldest finding in India. Till today.
Where the MP comes from?
The union government till today has not even commented about this finding, which is very important internationally. When you exclude this truth, you just not only exclude us, but you are excluding yourselves from the great legacy of Dravidian civilization. The proponents of Hindutva ideology have this question: who is an Indian and who is not? V.D. Savarkar came up with an answer many years ago. A loyal Indian is one who is attached to the geography of India, who is born in India and whose religion has indigenous roots. A Hindu means a person who regards this land from the Indus to the seas as his fatherland and as well as his holy land. But let me remind this House of the words of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a Congress leader who you seem to have taken over and invoke frequently. In 1947, when it was suggested to him that India should be declared as a Hindu state, Sardar Patel replied, "We must not forget that there are, quote, that there are other minorities whose protection is our primary responsibility." In 1950, he stated, "Ours is a secular state." I like to underline, he said that ours is a secular state, and we cannot fashion our politics in the way of Pakistan is doing. Here, every Muslim should feel that he is an Indian citizen and has equal rights as an Indian. The government celebrates Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. It disregards most of his fundamental principles. If you truly respect him, please protect every citizen, honor every culture, and stop selective imposition of one ideology over the rest. Building a 3,000 crore statue of unity is not paying respect to him. Please understand his words and implement it. That is true tribute to any leader. But this government ensures in every possible way that the minorities of this country do not feel comfortable. They are kept on edge and feel like outsiders. The CAA, Triple Talaq, the Work Board Bill, the Uniform Civil Code, mob lynching and state excesses are the unending examples of how you push the minorities and make them feel threatened. In August 2019, this government revoked the autonomy of Kashmir, the only Muslim majority state in India, and made it a union territory. Around the same time, you passed a new amendment to the anti-terror law. In this amendment ensured and gave you the right to classify individuals as terrorists and promoters of terrorism. And under this law, hundreds of Kashmiri politicians, activists were jailed, civil liberties were suspended, and protests banned. A few months later, the CAA, this provided a fast track to citizenship for many minority communities. The law specified that communities which could use this law were Buddhists, Christians, Hindus, Jains, Parsis, and Sikhs. These communities made it to the list, but the Muslims were omitted despite their presence in countries where they are minorities and have been persecuted and have even suffered violent attacks. And in many of the BJP-ruled states, you've coined a term, love jihad, where adult men and women are not allowed to get married to each other because they belong to different religious groups. And your reasoning is that Hindus will become a minority in this country. India has 14% Muslim population and almost 80% Hindu population. creating false narratives like this is your way of politics. But at least let people, individuals who have a right to make a personal choice in their private lives, let them live a life. And we've seen in most of the BJP-ruled states, mobs assault minorities while the police stand idle. I can't even say mobs assault them, because in some states the authorities themselves bulldoze Muslim homes and businesses. And lynchings cannot become widespread without atmosphere of impunity which you are ready to give. Attack on civil society groups are surging. Any voice of dissent is called anti-national. In November 2021, the National Security Advisor, Ajit Doval, told the graduating class of the National Police Academy in Hyderabad, the new frontiers of war is the civil society. The National Security Advisor tells the National Police Academy in Hyderabad that the new frontiers of war is the civil society. Since 2015, close to 17,000 civil society organizations have been denied registration or renewal. Next, the Christian NGOs are disproportionately losing their FCRA licenses. Out of the 2,257 NGOs who've lost their FCRA licenses, 1,626 are affiliated with Christian social programs. This is a targeted financial stranglehold on organizations that serve India's most vulnerable population. The Christian community, which constitutes around 11.54% of the total religious population, operates 72% of all religious minority schools in India, and over 5,000 hospitals in rural places. But still, you do not want them to help the marginalized, the underprivileged. Attacks on Christian organizations and churches have escalated over the years, with Uttar Pradesh emerging as the hotspot. This government campaigns under the banner Sabka Saath, but seems to be unable or unwilling to safeguard its minorities and failing its marginalized Indians. The Honorable President, in her address, mentioned about the spirit of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. I got a copy of the English translation of the President's speech. And when I got the copy, I was very confident that I will be able to read through it without anybody's help or support. But I was mistaken. Even to get through one page, I needed help of translators, because this speech has been studded and sprayed liberally with Hindi and Sanskrit phrases, which happen to be the names of schemes or the policy of the ruling government, which is in slogans. So, how can you talk about we together if your own, even translations do not include us and they are excluding us? And the President, and I think the Honorable Speaker from the BJP also spoke about the Kashi Tamil Sangamam and the Saurashtra Tamil Sangamam. You remember all these only during elections. Okay, but let us leave that alone. But for you, Tamil seems to start in Kasi and end in Gujarat. But it is a living language. I'd like to ask, if you really care about, you quote Tirukural also, and I think that only mention of Tamil Nadu or anything Tamil in the budget was Tirukural. Nothing apart from that. So, between 2014 and 2022, the union government has allocated 74 crores for the Central Institute of Tamil Nadu in Tamil Nadu, whereas it has allocated to the Central Sanskrit University 1,487.81 crores. We don't have staff in the Central University. We do not have epigraphists to decipher Tamil inscriptions. The President in her speech proudly proclaimed that manuscripts are being digitized. I'd like to bring it to the notice of this House that the Tamil manuscripts in Tamil University in Tanjavur are being digitized with the help of the British Library in London instead of the support of the union government. Legislature, judiciary and the executive are three pillars of the democracy. But this government is undermining all three. The key democratic institutions may have formally remained in place, but the norms and practices which hold democracy have deteriorated. The Vedam report on democracy says India has been downgraded to the state of electoral autocracy. In the past 11 years, we have seen that bills have been brought without proper consultation with stakeholders and bills which undermine the rights of state governments. In 1994, the Supreme Court ruling in the S.R. Bommai case underscored that states were not mere extensions of the union. Rather, they possess supremacy within their constitutionally defined domain. I'd like to remind the union government about this case, and you seem to have forgotten that states have their rights, and the rights have been promised, have been secured under the constitution of this country. I'd like to just go through a list of the bills which were passed in this House. The Electricity Amendment Bill, Act 2022. It sought to allow multiple private distributors in state-controlled power sectors, reducing state government's control over the electricity distribution. Mines and minerals. This act, which enabled the union government to auction tungsten in Aritapatti in Madurai without the consent of the Tamil Nadu government. The Chief Minister had to bring a resolution in Assembly against this, and the continuous protests of the people of Aritapatti. Only after that did you withdraw this. The Dam Safety Act 2021 further gave the union government the power over dams across states. The Forest Conservation Amendment Act diluted state control over forests, allowing infrastructure development in forests without state approval, affecting tribal and environmental rights. The three criminal laws, Bharatiya, Nyaya, whatever. Actually, when a very senior lawyer, when I asked him to explain what this bill was about, the first thing he told me was, first let me get the translation, and then I will be able to explain it to you. The National Education Policy, which you are very, very, very proud of, it imposes
a uniform education policy disregarding the distinct linguistic and educational priorities of the states like Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, Kerala and Telangana.
The farm laws, I don't have to talk about it. The union government seems to have forgotten that education is under the concurrent list, and it is not in the union list. The UGC draft regulation 2025, which ultimately wants to centralize
control over university leadership, particularly through appointment of vice chancellors, undermining the federalism of overriding state laws and imposing central criteria on state university. This limits the autonomy of universities and hinder their ability to function according to regional needs. And the one nation, one election. Again, this one is being brought so that when during an election, the issues which are important to states, state governments, are wiped away, are lost, and the national parties, the national parties can set the agendas for the election, and the states do not matter. 5 minutes. The census delimitation.
There's already one speaker more already. And
yes, sir, I'm just finishing. The census delimitation
I'm just reminding. I'm not. It is to It is to you too, because you have one more speaker.
So we insist on caste census, but we have to oppose delimitation based on the census. States which have done well, which have controlled population, which have advanced education, health and employment are the ones which are going to suffer. Just because we have reduced the population, just because we've been responsible states, it does not mean we have to suffer. And then once again, the balance of power will become lopsided. So this government has failed its citizens even in providing basic amenities such as food, employment, education and shelter. You keep talking about Amrit Kal. I don't think we've even arrived at Achhe Din, which you started with. So where is the time, where is the possibility of talking about the Kal? Kal means Kalam, I think. And you're talking about protecting farmers. Do you know that 1,474 farmers have committed suicide between 2014 and 2022 because the insurance companies which collected around 57,620 crores has only given back 3,878 crores to the farmers. You have not protected the farmers. And the Narega workers. This government has taken away work from rural India. And this bill was brought to ensure 100 days of employment for people who had no other means of income. But you've cut down 84.7 lakh workers from the list. And this is from your own registry. And the government, in its budget, has reduced food subsidy by 8,000 crores. Is this Amrit Kal? I think the LOP has spoken about youth and employment, but when you were in your campaign mode, you were talking about 2 crore jobs, but in the speech of the president, it has come to 10 lakh per year.
Kindly conclude. You have already taken more than
I'm just wrapping
25 minutes, and your time, party time is only 29, and one speaker has. I think so. Time is already, she has taken more than 25.
Sir, I just like, you're talking about education. Sir, in a unstart question, the government has replied that 13,500 students from SC, ST, OBC communities have dropped out of central universities because of discriminations faced by them. It is just not the students, sir. A professor, Gopal Das in Bangalore, had to write to the president of this country for justice. And in the investigation, it's been confirmed that there was workplace discrimination involving the dean and the director. The stories of Rohit Venmula's still continue. His words, "My birth is my fatal accident," still hurts our minds.
Kindly,
Just finishing, sir.
kindly conclude. You have already taken more than 20 minutes. Your time is only 29.
You're holding a stranglehold over the media. I think many people have spoken about how the media is being owned by some corporates who will never go against you, and the journalists are threatened. There have been so many arrests without any rhyme or reason, and there is no protection for journalism and the media houses in this country. And to threaten the opposition, you have been using income tax, CBI, in ED, but now you found another new way, the governors. In non-BJP states, you use your governors to create confusion. Yes, all of us. Sir, I just like to. Sir, she's concluding, sir. Sir, when he gets every day, he gets getting a 0 hour.
But Kani Modi ji, you can't discuss about the conduct of the governor. And whatever you are saying, are you? No, not.
Why not, sir?
It will not be part of the record. Mr. Raja, please, I think you are aware. What he said.
We have seen our governor walk in and walk out of our assembly, insulting the government, insulting the state anthem, insulting the national anthem. Sir, you have been using the governors as your representatives, representatives of the.
Just wait, Nisikant.
सर वो सीनियर मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट हैं, जो उनको सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं वो भी सीनियर मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट है। सबको पता है 352(5) जो कंडक्ट है हाई अथॉरिटी पर बैठे हुए आदमी का, चाहे प्रेसिडेंट का हो, चाहे गवर्नर का हो, चाहे चीफ इलेक्शन कमिश्नर का हो। लीडर ऑफ द अपोजिशन राहुल गांधी भी गलत बोल गए, बोलते रहे, सब ताली थपथपाते रहे। कनी भी वैसे ही गवर्नर के बारे में बोल रही हैं। यदि इस तरह से पार्लियामेंट चलेगा सर, तो इस पार्लियामेंट का क्या मतलब?
वो पार्ट ऑफ प्रोसीडिंग नहीं होगा। मैंने रूलिंग दे दी है। That will not be a part of the proceeding. Please kindly you conclude. Please kindly you take all of you take seat. Kindly please you conclude. I think so. Then you have only 29. Your party has only 29 minutes. Already you have taken 27 minutes. So how or other speaker how he can?
That is between my party colleague. That is between me and my colleague.
That is the time constraint. Can you enlighten? No, Mr. Don't pass any remark on the chair, please. Kindly conclude it. Kindly conclude.
Sir, you are depriving the states of their rights, of their fiscal autonomy, and I'd like to say, please learn from the Dravidian model in Tamil Nadu, which is inclusive. I like to finish with a quote by our Chief Minister Muthuvel Karunanidhi Stalin. The Dravidian model does not destroy, it creates. The Dravidian model does not break, it repairs. The Dravidian model does not divide, it unites. The Dravidian model does not demean, it treats everyone equally. The Dravidian model does not exclude anyone. Standing shoulder to shoulder, it embraces everyone. Learn to embrace. This is one country, don't destroy it.
Shri Bharat ji.
Sir, the mic is not switched on.
Mic will be automatically on. You start, I think so. Mic will be fulfilled.
Thank you, sir.
You just start.
I'd like to thank the President, ma'am, for her address to the joint houses. And I'd like to focus my speech on the celebration of 75 years of our Constitution, celebrating our democracy and the constitutional protection that we are all enjoying. A leader that spoke before me spoke about our neighbor, a powerful neighbor, where there's a lot of development. But what is development worth without freedom? I have studied and grown up in India, and I've seen the diversity that thrives in India. And if we don't protect the diversity, then I think development is possible. But then the allegations of the opposition will become even more perpetuated of power and wealth being concentrated in very few people. Sir, last night I was supposed to prepare for this speech. I got really late. But for some reason, I've been wanting to watch a movie for the last week. The name of this movie is V for Vendetta. I first saw this movie almost 20 years ago, and it had a profound impact on me, but I still wanted to watch it again. I don't know why I saw it. And as I saw the movie, the parallel to my state of Andhra Pradesh over the last 5 years was so clear. On September 9, 2023, my leader, Chandrababu Naidu Garu, was arrested. Our leader, Mr. Lokesh's Yuvagalam Padayatra was abruptly stopped after 229 days. And we were all shocked. Soon after, less than a week after, we had the leader of Janasena Party, Mr. Pawan Kalyan, a senior leader in our party and popular actor, Mr. Balakrishna, and Mr. Lokesh go and meet our leader, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, in jail. And as they came out and they announced, Mr. Kalyan announced that we are going in this together. Today it is not about me, it is not about the TDP, it is about the future of the state of AP and the future of the people of AP. That went on for 52 days with him being in jail. A lot of uncertain times. On October 31st, he was released. And I was fortunate to be there in the road as he was released and leaving the jail. And I was standing on my car and I had a vantage point. And as he was greeting the people that were there to see him after so long, we were able to lock eyes. As I saw his eyes and the depth in those eyes, there were tears rolling down my cheeks. And then we left, all of us moved to Amravati, the leaders of the party, the cadre, the family. But he only reached there 14 hours later at 6 a.m. in the morning. Someone who was in jail for 52 days, over the age of 70, still sitting in the car, not getting up and greeting people across the way, wherever people were there to see him. It gave us strength to fight, to see somebody like that. And then 6 months later, the campaign, the elections, 90 public meetings, almost 3 meetings a day. And all of this was not about him. It was about the future of AP. And I think what he felt, what was he feeling? His hope was to remind the world that fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words. They are perspectives. I'll be taking quotes in the movie through this, sir. And I think at that point he realized... Sir. Pale, Krishna. Kuchon, it's okay. It doesn't matter. Krishna, it's okay.
Please.
So
please, order. Maintain order.
Sir, I'd like to paraphrase...
Please, continue. Address the chair. Please address the chair.
Krishna. Sir, I'd like to paraphrase a dialogue from the movie that I saw last night. It really stuck with me. And I think if I were to paraphrase what my leader was asking of the people, addressing it to the people from his voice. So if you've seen nothing, if the crimes of this government remain unknown to you, then I would suggest you allow the 13th of May to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside me 6 months from today, outside your voting booth, and together we shall give them a 13th of May that shall never ever be forgotten. And that's what the people have spoken, sir. We got a historic result of winning 164 seats in the alliance, I think with a vote share margin that was never seen in the history of Andhra Pradesh for over 40 years.
But I'd like to go back, sir. What happened? What led to this movement? What led to this epiphany? In 2019, when we lost power and the new government came into force in the state of Andhra Pradesh, we very soon realized that fear became